Okay, welcome and good morning. Have some props ready. We have a little different setup today. If you notice, we've done some COVID-19 rearranging. I'm hoping the lighting is better for me. There's not quite as much backlight this way, so I'm hoping you see me better. We'll see how it goes. But I have my chair, just a simple dining room chair. I have my scarf. If you don't have a scarf, you can use the original yoga strap. And again, I don't always know what I'm going to use, but I like to have things out. This is what I do in my regular home practice. I just lay all the props up. I have a couple bolsters over here. Probably won't use the bolsters today, but again, it's just nice to have everything out. I have my blankets. I have extra blankets. If you don't have blankets, I find towels to be the best. You can use couch cushions, but couch cushions, some of them are just very, very soft. So use those in a pinch. But towels, can fold up fairly firmly. And I have a couple blocks for those that don't have blocks. This beautiful stack. Good thing I never threw out the dictionary. Dictionary, thesaurus, Grimm's Fairy Tale, nice thick one. Find some thick books. They easily create a block. And if you don't have thick ones, get a bunch of thin ones. All right, so get your props if you don't have them. And again, it can be as simple as your dining room chair, stack of blocks, and a scarf or some sort of beltish object. And then find yourself a comfortable seat. I have 3 blankets I'm sitting on. Ever since this all started, I was sitting on 2 blankets, and I decided to do 3 blankets just because it's more comfortable. And I get to open a little bit more without struggling. So I recommend experimenting with even how many blankets. Our ego wants us to go lower. Well, I can do this with no blanket. And maybe you can, that's fine. But can you find that lift? When we sit on the floor, the groins tend to tighten. The knees come up, the groins tighten, which causes the torso to roll forward and round. Just a simple lift. And a chair is fine too. So a simple lift now releases the groins, which allows the torso to lift up a little bit more. So how can you find, right, this is Sukhasana, ease, pose of ease. And it's not always a feeling of ease here. But how can you create more ease for yourself? We tend to face life as struggle, find all the struggles and prove that, you know, we can win them, win at those struggles, beat those struggles. You know, even this whole time right now of lockdown, home sheltering, right? Some people call it a test, and others call it an opportunity. And it can be either of those. If you want to make it a test, it's a test. You can struggle through it, you can fight, maybe you win, maybe you lose. Or you can treat it as an opportunity. And we take whatever mental energy we have surrounding that, we take that into our yoga practice. Am I going to struggle today in my poses and fight myself so I can get to that next stage, whatever that next stage is? Somehow get more out of the pose? Or perhaps you can show up with ease and opportunity and cooperate with the poses. See what's available to you, see what you can offer the poses, see what the poses can offer you. What opportunities are available today? So I ask you to take these thoughts into your practice. How can we be? How can we be at ease in the pose? How can we be at ease even if there's discomfort? Not pain, but some discomfort. How can you be at ease and with discomfort? And how can you embrace the opportunities which may come to you in our next hour and a little bit together? Bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. Touch your palms evenly, left to right, right to left. Close your eyelids from top to bottom and draw your eyes back and down to gaze at the seat of your heart, the seat of your soul. Noticing the quality of your breath in this moment, not forcing a breath. I didn't say take a deep breath. Instead, let the breath breathe you and become an observer to the breath, simply noticing the quality. And then making the ever so slight adjustments in the body, finding the even balance of the sit bones. Lengthening through the inner groins, from the inner thighs through to the inner knees, and also from the inner thighs, the upper inner thighs, back towards the lower abdomen, that whole inner groin lengthening from the lower abdomen to the knee. The flesh of the inner thighs moves down. The upper inner thighs moves from the front of the leg to the back of the leg. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact those hips together. Lengthen through the side ribs. Press the sit bones down without gripping the inner thighs. Press the sit bones down. Lengthen from your hips to your armpits. And at the same time as you lengthen, can you widen the shoulder bones, moving away from each other? Sometimes we just say, force the shoulder bones back and down. I don't want you to force anything. But can you open? With each inhalation becoming taller, longer. With each exhalation becoming wider, broader. Can you make the sides of your neck even? Let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. And before you rush out of this pose, wondering what the next pose is, can you take a moment here after the Oms to observe the quality of the breath as the breath breathes you? Keep the sternum lifted, lower your chin towards your heart. Pause here. Still observing. What opportunities are here? Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up, pausing. With your eyes closed, raise your head. Gently let your eyes open. Straighten your legs. You have a strap nearby, or your scarf, whatever you have. Come to the edge of your lift. Straighten your legs. Dandasana. So I had a good time on Tuesday. I don't know about you. It's hard, these classes. You don't get that immediate feedback. But a few people mentioned that they enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the shoulders and the hips both. Often we'll work on shoulders, we'll work on hips, or we'll work on this part of the body, that part of the body. Tuesday we ended up working shoulders and hips together, and we're going to continue some of that today. Of course, to work on the hips, you also want to get into the groin. So press the thigh bones down, lengthen from your inner thighs, out through your inner knees, out through your inner heels. And from your inner thighs, draw back towards your abdomen. The whole inner groin's lengthening. Take the flesh of the inner thighs down. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. See that you're not forcing your front bottom ribs forward, but take the front bottom ribs towards the back body. Now, I don't care if your arms get straight. Maintain the legs. That's what we've been working. Don't forget the legs. And push into the floor and lift up through the side ribs. Maybe your arms become straight, but not if the shoulders lift. I'd rather have bent elbows. Now, it's hard really to see me the size of the screen here, but my arms are not completely straight. If I would go to completely straight, my shoulders would lift. So they're almost straight. But what I'm looking for is the lift of the side ribs and chest. Not pushing the front ribs, the bottom ribs forward, but taking the front bottom ribs back. I get more lift if I take the front bottom ribs back. And let your right leg fall out to the right. Take hold on the inside. You can even hook that strand there with your fingers and pull your leg not towards you, but out to the side first. And then the other leg, let it go. Take hold of that strand there. Take it out to the side. Even as you're taking the leg up, you're turning that thigh out with it. Then you'll take your feet together. If you don't have a strap, that's fine, but you can take the strap underneath your feet. Keep your hands close to your feet, right? So it's not this one here, but my arms are straight, or at least straightish. Right, if I were in the traditional pose without the lift, I'd be on the floor with my hands underneath my feet. But with the lift, and you can decide what lift is appropriate, but I vote for ease today, not forcing. So when I have the lift, I can't get my hands underneath anymore. So this just makes my arms a little bit longer. This is a wonderful pose for your hips. Do it 5-10 minutes every day. Press your heels. Lengthen from the inner thighs, out through the inner knees. Don't try and press the knees down, but instead seek to move the knees further away from each other. Left knee to the left, right knee to the right. From the upper inner thighs, also come back to the lower abdomen. So between the knees and the lower abdomen, there's lengthening. The groin connects from the lower abdomen to the knees. Take the flesh of the inner thighs, descending from the front of the leg to the back of the leg. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact those hips together. Move the femur bone. The femur bone is the large bone in your thigh. Move the femur bone into the hip sockets. That helps move the knees further away from each other, but do so in such a way that you're still releasing, lengthening the inner thighs. Watch those front bottom ribs. They will try and push forward. You must keep the front bottom ribs towards the back body. Rotate the upper arms out. without pushing the ribs forward. But as soon as I do that, I want to throw the ribs forward because I think I'm lifting the chest. But those are two different things. So rotate the upper arms out, take the front bottom ribs towards the back body, and actually lift the chest instead of pushing the ribs out. You're not trying to take the side ribs forward. You're trying to take the side ribs, the upper side ribs higher. But again, there needs to be length here. So if you just take the whole trunk higher, it's not that, because we want length between each and every set of ribs. And then take your hands on the outside of your knees, push your legs together, hold behind one knee. There are two strands there. Take one in each hand, draw the flesh towards the buttock, drag the heel, straighten the leg. The other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttocks, drag the heel, straighten the leg. Move the strap to the side for a moment. Back to Dandasana. Thighs down, lengthen the inner thighs, descend the inner thighs, outer knees to outer hips. I always start with my elbows bent here. Sometimes I'll go to straighten them, sometimes I won't. Depends on the condition of my side ribs, my shoulders on any given day. Upavista Konasana. I want you to separate your legs. Now, you can take a block. We're not using it right now, but take a block, put it in front of you. This pose for me, so Baddha Konasana, this is Baddha Konasana. I need a lift. This is a struggle on the floor. Upavista Konasana, I can actually be on the floor. So I want you to play with this, and maybe you need a lower lift than you had. Right? Maybe this is where you are, or maybe you stick with the same lift. So play with it. Take a moment. We're going to be here. I'm not rushing through this. So take a moment and find a lift that works for you. So I'm just going to keep this lift in case I'm not going to go to the floor. But I want you, if you can, with ease, be on the floor, be on the floor. And if you need a lift or want a lift, or the lift creates ease, then take that nice lift underneath you. I have the buttocks on, thighs off. So, sometimes we get lazy. Me too. So whatever lift I have to start, I'll just keep that one because it takes too much time. But today, take a moment and make it work for you. And then once you're here, press your thighs down, not your knees. So when you're on, especially if you have a lift, there's a tendency to really press the knees down. And I want you to be here pressing the thigh bones down. There's still the lengthening, inner thigh through the inner knee, through the inner heel, inner thigh through the inner knee, through the inner heel. The flesh of the inner thigh is moving down, outer knees to the outer hips. And compacting the hips, but in such a way that you don't grip the inner thighs. And again, with the hands, once I have the legs, don't rush through those legs. Once I have the legs, I can then seek the side ribs. As soon as I do that, my front ribs push forward. So I have to adjust. Front ribs back, and then lengthen to whatever is optimal today, which is different than yesterday. Sometimes it just depends on what you dream at night. Did you have good dreams or bad dreams? Did they loosen up the body or did they make the body tense? How did you wake up? Morning is also different than afternoon.
Jonathan,
yes.
I have a quick question. Seema.
Yes, Seema.
So when you ask us to compact the hips by drawing from the outer knee to the outer hip, are you engaging the buttocks at all by compacting the hips or no?
I'm not focusing on that. The buttocks may grip, but I want you to think about that femur bone moving towards the hip socket, okay? The buttocks can grip to help bring the tailbone in, and that helps from the tailbone area, but that's different than this outer knee to outer hip, moving the hips together action.
Gotcha, thanks.
If anyone else has questions, please ask. Now, this is another pose, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, but we're going to do a little variation today and move it into a forward bend. Now, I have to be honest. For years, I didn't practice this pose unless it was taught in a class, and I hated it because I could not get any forward motion. My forward bend was here, literally from here to here. That's all I could get, and everything inside here would tighten. So I want you to lengthen the groins, really, really lengthen in both directions. So draw towards your abdomen and out towards the knee, towards your abdomen and out towards the knee. Simply take your hands in front of you. If you're on a lift, use the block because you don't want to just round like that, okay? We're not looking for a rounding in the back. We're looking still for a lengthening of the side ribs. If you are on the floor, then you just take your hands in front of you. You don't need the block. And I want you to come forward in stages. It's going to be different for everyone. So you're here, maybe you can go a little bit further. As soon as you round, that's as far as you're going. You don't want to round. Maybe you go a little further. Take a few breaths. Don't just race to your maximum. If you take a few breaths at each stop, you'll go further. Keep pressing the thighs down. Keep lengthening the groins. The groins is a big component of getting forward here. If you don't learn to lengthen the groins, if you don't draw the groins into the body as well as out, but if you don't draw those upper groins back in, you will not get it. A little further. And again, you stop where it's appropriate for you to stop. What's optimal for you today? A little further. It took me many years of practicing this pose to get any semblance of a forward bend. Maybe a little further. And then slowly coming back. Hands by your hips. What I can say, having avoided this pose for years, it's worth the effort. I started really working this pose. It was even after I became a teacher. Don't tell my teachers, I didn't really do this pose much. But it was after I moved to Austin. So about 5 years ago, I said, I have to figure out this pose. And I started doing it. And now it is just a boon to me. It is such a joy when I really can experience this pose. But I had to put in the time to get it. One more time, fingertips in front of you, whether you're on the floor or on the lift. Go forward just a little bit. Now push through the hips and the sit bones, back and down, and lengthen through the side ribs without pushing the ribs forward. So it's not just that one. The ribs still have to come in so that there's lengthening between the hips and the armpits. Again, a little forward. Push your sit bones, hips down. Draw the front bottom ribs back and lengthen. Lift the armpit chest area. A little further. Push the sit bones, hips down. Front bottom ribs in. One more time. And if you have any more, you go at your pace. This is where I'm going today, right now. You know, if you're on the floor, you know, maybe you can even, if you have the flexibility, you take your elbows on the floor. That's fine too. Or if you have the flexibility, you know, eventually the chest is on the floor. But I'm looking for ease today, not that test. Not looking for the test. How far can I go today? And then slowly come back. Hands by your hips. Take your hands now on the inside of your knees. Pull straight up. Blocks in the way. Move that out of the way. Now, I always like the feet are so close together. They're here that I just always want to go, okay, one more Baddha Konasana because it's such a great pose. For men, very important. For the prostate, for women, all those internal reproductive organs, whether they're being used or not. Good for the bladder as well, especially if you have lack of bladder control. This can be quite beneficial. Press the heels, lengthen the groins, outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. Front ribs in, lengthen through the side ribs. And release your hands. Take your hands on the outside of the knees. Push the legs together. Hold behind one knee. Drag your heel. Draw the flesh towards the buttocks with your hands. Other leg. Draw the flesh towards the buttocks. This protects the knees. Drag the heel back to Dandasana. I try and do that sequence every single day. All right, so that's some of the hips. So obviously there's a lot we could do with hips. Let's work with the shoulders now a little bit. So come to the center of your mat. I want you to have a strap nearby. Take your feet together into Tadasana or feet apart if that's more accessible to you. And just check out the hips, the groins, check out the feeling. What's your experience? So starting with the base, balance evenly on the feet. Press your thighs back. Lengthen the groin. So from the knee to the lower abdomen, both sides. There's a lengthening there. As you press the thighs back, find that lengthening. The flesh of the inner thighs moves back. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. Extend through the arms. Watch those front ribs. The front bottom ribs move back. Take your arms out to the sides. Drop the shoulders. Hold your arms up with your armpits, not the neck shoulder area. From your armpits, rotate the arms up. Keep those ribs in. Do you notice how the front ribs want to go move forward as you rotate the arms up? So keep the front bottom ribs moving back. And from your armpits, push your arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. I don't care if the hands come together. Or if you see mine, they're fairly far apart. Right? If I begin to take them together, my shoulders will come up. See how my neck is getting squeezed? I don't want that. I'd rather have them further apart. If you're here, that's fine too. Press through the feet. Keep the front bottom ribs in, thighs back. Open the armpits. And as you extend the arms up, take the shoulders down. And turn your hands out to the sides, come down. Interlace your fingers together. Turn your palms out. There, those thighs, the ribs, they tend to go forward again. So take the thighs back, take the ribs in. Straighten the elbows. Push the webbing of your fingers together. Inhale, come up. Watch those ribs. Keep the ribs moving back as the arms go up. Extend your wrist towards the ceiling. Open the armpits. Push down through the feet as the wrists go up. Hands out to the sides, come down. Interlace your fingers the opposite way. Turn the palms up. Again, as soon as I extend the arms, I can feel it. I've been doing this 20 years, I can feel it. My ribs still pop out immediately. So I notice it. The benefit now is that I used to not notice it. Now I notice it. Ribs in, thighs back, push the webbing of the fingers together, inhale, come up. Take the shoulders down as the arm goes up. And don't think of it just as taking the hands up. But can you think of it as opening the armpits? Wrists up, shoulders, shoulder blades down. Push through the feet as the wrists go up. Push through the feet evenly as the wrists go up, evenly. Release your hands out to the sides. Come down. Take your towel, your strap, your scarf, whatever it is. Make it wide. So I'm going to come down here so you can see me. But you can stay in Tadasana. Of course, you can do this in a chair. Tadasana is hard for you. Standing is hard. Do this in a chair. That's fine. Take this above your head. Notice my arms are wide. Keep those front bottom ribs in. Just extend the arms up, not the shoulders, but the arms, and gently pull that strap apart. Pull that strap apart. And then let it come behind you, right? We've been doing, those of you that have been coming, we've been doing this for some days now, behind you, in front of you. And you have to keep your arms far enough apart so that there is I'm not saying no work. I mean, I feel this, but you can do it. There's an ease here, right? If I take my arms closer together, I can't get back, or I have to bend my elbows to get back. That's not what we're looking for. So I want to be wide enough so I can lubricate this shoulder joint. Really go back and forth. Watch those ribs. The torso wants to move when you do this. See if you can keep the torso still and steady. And we're just moving the arm and the shoulder joint. That's all that's moving. Everything else, steady. And I can, it's interesting watching on video because I can see the unevenness in my arms and my shoulders. So can you experience the unevenness and try to become more even? And then stop at that point, a little bit behind you, that feels most open in the armpits. Keep the front bottom ribs in, open the armpit, the back armpit moves towards the front armpit, still moving. The hands don't move, but you're pulling apart on that strap. Allowing your breath to fill up the armpits, armpit chest. And then let it fall behind you, and then up in front of you. Put your strap down for now. All right, Garudasana, eagle pose. We did this the other day. I want you to take your right elbow on top of your left elbow. You cross your forearms. Walk a little back so you can see me better. There we go. Cross your forearms and touch your palms. Now, if you can't cross your forearms, if they're close, you can, be here and keep seeking it. But otherwise, you keep this arm straight. Your other arm comes across. Keep that shoulder down. Don't push your shoulder up. Drop the shoulder down and take the arm across. So that's a fine adjustment. Otherwise, you'll be here. Take your upper arm, front bottom ribs in, right? Keep that. So keep the rest of the body, Tadasana on the legs, ribs in. Then take your upper arms parallel to the floor. Take your forearms perpendicular to the floor and rotate your wrist so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. And release. Other side, left elbow on top of right. Either straight arm, that's fine, or cross the forearms. Take the front bottom ribs back. Take your upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate your wrist so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. And release. Now one more time, we'll move the arms a little bit more quickly. We can fly them like a bird. So swing your arms out, swing them back in, right elbow on top of left elbow. Of course, straight arm, you're there. Now again, ribs in, press to the feet, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate your wrist so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. Then move your elbows, press the elbows into each other, and take the shoulder bones away from each other, broaden across the top of the back. And then when you release, you'll fly the arms out and then fly them back in. Again, ribs in, press through the feet, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate the wrist so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. And then press the elbows into each other, move the shoulder bones away from each other, and broaden across the top of the back. And release. Tadasana. Now this is where it gets fun because Garudasana also has a leg part of the pose. On Tuesday, we did Gomukhasana, arms and legs. We'll see how time goes today. Maybe we'll do that, but I wanted to get in Garudasana. This is a balancing pose. Take your hands on your hips, bend your legs, take your left leg up, wrap the leg around and hook your foot. See if you can see this. You want to hook your foot around your calf. Now, a couple hints. If you don't bend your legs, if you try and be here, you're not going to get that around. It won't go. So you have to sink into it in order to get that foot around. If you fall, falling is fun. If we're in class together, everyone would yell right now, falling is fun. So you can do that at home. Falling is fun. And if you fall, you get to celebrate. And then unhook the leg, come back up. Then bend your legs. You have to get into it. You have to sink a little bit into it. And then the other leg. Oh, this one's more difficult. Then you want to square your hips and torso and sit into it. Still, it's going to help you to lengthen the groins, to descend the groins, and to draw the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. All that is still there. Those ribs also. And yeah, it's balancing for me too. All right, come up and out. Or unwind yourself and then come up and out. So, for those that have difficulty doing this, here's another way. We're going to lie back. So watch. Just watch for a moment so you can see what I'm doing. Lift your legs, bend your legs. Then, you take one knee over the other and hook your ankle. Now, you can't have your legs too close into the body. If you're way up here, it's not going to hook. If you're way out there, it's not going to hook. So you have to find that place where it will hook. All right? So everybody, lie back. Legs are bent, feet on the floor. Lift your feet up. Your knees have to go a little bit away from you. And then take your left leg over your right leg. And you might have to play with it. Where in space do your thighs need to be to actually hook your ankle? And then you can take, once you have it, you can take both thighs up a little bit. Ah, feels so good. Lengthen the groins, descend the groins, outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. And then allow the thighs to move away from you, unhook yourself, place your feet on the floor. Now let me check in before we do the other side. Anybody having difficulty, not able to get this? Now's the time, because I can take a look at you. All right, wonderful, very exciting. If you just didn't get to the computer fast enough to tell me, you can still come and tell me. All right, so lie back, lift the feet. Now again, so you have to take the thighs just a little bit away from you, then take your right leg over your left leg and hook. And you, again, if the legs are too close to it, it won't work. If the legs are too far away, it won't work. You have to find that spot that it works. And then once you have it, then you can take your legs a little bit closer to you, right? That would be like sitting into it. Lengthen the groins, descend the groins, draw the outer knees to the outer hips. And then unwind yourself, feet on the floor. All right? So everybody was able to do that? Great. That means all of you who thought you couldn't do it when you were standing, now you know you can do it. All right, lie back. We're going to add the arms now. So, feet up. Right leg over left. Oh, my legs are too close to me, so I have to take them a little further apart and then hook. Now I'm going to draw the legs towards me so I really get that opening in the hips. I have to release the groins to do it. Lengthen the groins, descend the groins. Now here I can add the arms. So right elbow on top of left elbow, cross the forearms, touch the palms. Again, if your forearms don't cross, you can do this one still with a straight arm. And here you are, Garudasana, on your back. Upper arms, I can't say parallel to the floor. Let's see, parallel to the side wall. And then forearms parallel to the floor. Rotate the wrist. Still broaden across the back. Take your knees closer to the chest. And then release the arms and legs. Take a breath. Then lift your feet, other side. So right on top of left. You have to find that place where you can get that hook. Draw the legs a little closer. And then the arms. Left on top of right. Upper arms parallel to the sidewall. Forearms parallel to the floor. Rotate the wrists. Keep the knees gently. You're not going to get tons of space, but the knees get closer to the chest. And you can then take those elbows towards each other and broaden across the shoulders. And then release. Then roll to the right. Come up. Come
I
back
have a
up.
question for you, Jonathan. I think
Yes.
I'm a little confused.
Who's speaking?
Karen,
Yes, Karen.
when the right leg is on top, the right arm is on top, or is it opposite?
No, right, whatever foot's on the floor, the arm's on top. So right leg on the floor, right arm on top.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
So now, and does that answer it?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to do it standing. Yes. Now standing is just impossible for you. Now you know how to do it. You can do it on the floor. But it's also, and you can lean against the wall too. If you have a wall, you can lean against the wall. That's fine. But it's good to experiment with balancing, and it's good to experiment with the failure of balancing as well, and see how your mind does with that. So bend your legs. We're putting it all together now. Left leg over right. I don't have the hook, so like when I was lying back, I have to find how far down do I need to go to get that hook. Now I have the hook. Now I'm going to lengthen the groins, descend the groins, draw the outer knees to the outer hips, and seek my torso facing forward. Now adding the arms. Arms out, right elbow on top of left. We're standing on the right leg, the right elbow is on top. Then upper arms up, forearms away from the nose, perpendicular to the floor. Sit into it. Yes, I'm losing my balance. Very hard to talk at the same time as I do this pose. Check in with yourself. And then release, come to center. If you fell, celebrate. If you want to do it against the wall, do it against the wall, not a problem. If you have a wall, the problem is not everybody has a wall. Hands on hips, other side. Bend your legs. Left leg over, right leg over left now. But see how this skews my body? So then I have to release the groins, outer knees to outer hips, and adjust. Square hips, square torso. And then add the arms. So we're standing on the left leg, the left arm is on top. Sit into it, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate the wrists. Knife edge of your hand forward. Squeeze the elbows, broaden across the back. And then release and come out. Check in with yourself. Gomukhasana. So let's do some of the prep for Gomukhasana we did the other day. So cross your forearms. Right, just cross your forearms behind you. Keeping the front bottom ribs back. We're in Tadasana with the forearms crossed behind us. Move your forearms into the body without pushing your ribs forward. And release, change the cross of the forearms. push the forearms into the body, the front ribs move back so that there's an opening instead in the side ribs. So we're not just, trying to do this one, but we keep those ribs in, and then it's this armpit area which begins to open. And release. Now, when you go into Gomukhasana, I'm going to use the real strap for this. It can be helpful. If you can clasp your hands, it's helpful to have a strap. And by the way, whether you can clasp or not doesn't just have to do with the flexibility of your shoulders. It has to do with how long your arms are. If you have longer arms, you can clasp more easily. So don't get into judging with yourself about this. Because yes, it's the joints, but it's also just the length of your arms. So take this over, let's do it over the right shoulder. So I want you to walk, well now this is the right shoulder. I want you to walk your left arm up. And you can use your right hand. We've done this before. You use your right hand to help support. You can take hold of the elbow. And if it comes between your shoulder blades, then maybe you don't need the strap. But if you're down here, then take hold of the strap. And then you take your right arm, extend it up, get down here so you can see. Rotate the arm so it faces the back, and then come down. All right, so here's what we're looking like. And then you just take hold of the strap. If your hands clasp, great. But don't just throw your ribs out to clasp your hands. So a lot of us will just, let's see, if I do this, then they're closer together. Because if I'm here, they come apart. Don't do that. You're better off here. Just hold the strap. This is fine. So I'll be on my knees so you can see me, see my arms better. But you can do this standing. Now the top arm, you see how the elbow is way out to the side? So I want to turn that so the tricep moves towards the nose. The bottom arm, the upper arm actually rotates in. And then from the armpits, extend the elbows away from each other. Watch those front ribs. They're going to immediately want to go forward. Resist that. And then release the top arm, release the bottom arm, arms out to the side, then come down. And switch sides. Take the strap to the other side if you're using the strap. Walk your other hand up. Use your hand to support you. The right arm up is going behind you. Or if you've got your right and left confused, or if I just did, then the opposite arm. Keep those ribs in. Then take the other arm up, rotate it so the palm faces back. Either clasp the hands or hold the strap. The top arm, take the tricep towards the nose. Extend from your armpit to your elbow. The bottom arm, the upper arm rotates in. From your armpits, extend your elbows away from each other. And take the top arm up. Bottom arm out, both arms out to this side. Come down. Keep the strap nearby. So now we're going to add the legs. Many of you will need a block. I need a block for this. So I'm going to show you from behind. Take the block between your feet, like this, okay? I'm going to have to show you from the front and the back. You'll take your right leg on top of your left. Men, you have to move things out of the way. It can get tight in there, right? And then you take the back leg and it goes over to the other side. I know you couldn't see that. I will show you from behind as well. So in the front leg, your right leg goes on top. Then from behind, so this is what that looks like. So one leg goes on top. And then you just take that over to the other side, and then you can sit back. Some of you will need a higher lift, so you take a second block, you take a blanket. I'm not concerned with the height of the lift. And when you switch sides, so I don't have to keep turning around, watch. So take that back, then you take the other leg out, and then you can just switch. Okay? So let's come to starting. And actually, I may have said it wrong. Which foot do we want on the bottom? We're going to have the right leg on the bottom, right arm on top to start with. So I'm mirroring, this will be my right leg. So take your left leg over your right leg, and then take your right leg on the opposite side of the block, have a seat. If anything didn't make sense in my perhaps confusing instruction and getting right and left confused, now's the time to ask, because we're going to hang out here for a moment. Now, hopefully you can guess what the next instructions are.
Jonathan, this is Sumati.
Yes.
So if I can do any of that, do I just sit down with the block?
You can do it on a chair. You can do Virasana too. If this is really, the first thing I would do is try and add another block. Try and create height, okay? If that doesn't work, then Virasana is an option, right? So feet together. I'm sorry, knees together, feet apart. You take your block or higher. Take your thumbs into your knees, move that flesh out to the sides, and then you sit back.
Thank you.
And again, you can have a higher lift. And if that's not accessible, then go back into Tadasana. We'll do the arm work as well, or come into a chair. We're going to do the hips for a little bit. If you're in Virasana, when we switch sides, you just stay here. This is another pose you want to be in 5-10 minutes a day anyway. If we had 3-hour classes, we would do Virasana and all the variations of Virasana too. But that's for another day. So back to Gomukhasana. Lengthen the groins. Also, if you're in Virasana, lengthen the groins. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs and draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. And as soon as I do that, I feel this lift in the side ribs. So we will add the arms, but first I'm going to allow the legs to release, to open those hips. And yes, this is, when I started this, quite inaccessible. I couldn't do it. I had a high block, right? I had this height block with a blanket on top of it. And even what I did for those that are really having difficulty, now you might not have everything you need, but if you get a stack of books, you will. Let me pull out my bolster just to show you. So when I had to be really high, it was somewhat untenable. So I'd be up high and I'd have these for balance because I wouldn't be able to balance myself. So that's another way to do it. If you're wobbling, you just take these blocks on the side for balance. And then you won't do the arm work for until you have that balance. All right, let's get into this other side here because you've been here for a little while now. So come onto your hands and you'll take your front leg over and then come back to that starting point where one foot is on either side of the block. And then it's going to be the opposite leg on top and then have a seat. Lengthen the groins, descend the groins, outer knees to outer hips. And I think I did totally mess up the mirroring and the right and left because now what's on the bottom here? This is my actual left foot, which means mirroring is my right foot. So I'll continue with that. So we'll do left foot on the bottom first. And if you did it the other way, just follow along. we'll make the best out of it together today. Notice the breath. Notice how the breath breathes you in this type of a pose. A little compacted here, but this is all open up here. I left you in a little bit longer on the other side with the questions, so I'm just keeping you here for a moment longer so the sides will be even. And then coming forward, take your front leg out, take the back foot back, and then you can just sit for a moment. So let's go into Virasana just for a moment. Take your thumb on the inside of your knees, hook that flesh away, and have a seat. Again, if this bothers your knees, you need a higher lift, or you take a blanket right inside your knees and sit back. I don't have a problem with my knees in this pose, but this actually just, as I do, it feels nicer. So I would stick with this. All right, and then coming back. My right and left is all confused now. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow how I did it before, not how I said. So I actually did mirroring my right over my left. So I'm going to do that again. So right over left. The key is you want to do both sides evenly. And then take that back leg across on the other side of the block, have a seat. If you're confused, please let me know. I can explain it better. And I did go over this the other day, so I may as well say it today. I haven't yet. If you notice, my feet are on completely different planes. This foot is more forward than this foot. Ideally, you want them to be more even. My hips are quite uneven, so this is what I get out of it today. I'll let you know they're much better than they used to be. Lengthen the groins, descend the groins, outer knees to outer hips. Hopefully you still have your strap nearby. So that's going to go over your shoulder on the left side. So take your right hand back. So the left leg is down. I'm going to take the left arm up. Take your right arm out to the side and turn it to face the back. And then swing it down and up. So now it's holding that strap there, right? Then take your other arm up, rotate to face the back, and then take it down, hold your strap, or of course you can clasp if you have the clasp. Now go back to the base. So balance on those sit bones, descend the inner groins, lengthen the inner groins, outer knees to outer hips. Keep those front bottom ribs in. Then the arms, that top arm, take the tricep towards the nose. The bottom arm, rotate the arm in, and from the armpits, extend the arms away from each other. And can you keep equal awareness on the legs and the arms? Hips and shoulders, legs and arms. Be aware of the whole body, not just parts of it. It creates a different condition in the brain when you spread the awareness through the body. Ultimately, these poses, B.K. Iyengar would always say, you want to experience the pose in each and every cell of your body. Each and every cell. Can you spread the awareness? And then top arm up, release the bottom arm, arms out to the side. Release for a moment, take a breath. Come onto your hands. I know the strap's a little bit in the way, you can take it off. Undo your legs. Move that strap over to the other side. Redo your legs. So now it's going to be left on top of right. Take the right foot on the other side. Have a seat back. This side is different again. Put the strap to the other side if you haven't. But let's settle in here with the legs for a moment. Lengthen the groins. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Then the left arm, extend it out, rotate it so the palm faces back, drop it down, and then slide it up your back. Use that strap. One of the other benefits of the strap is, yes, you can hold it, but you can use it to crawl your hand up just that extra millimeter. Right arm up, rotate it to face the back, then it comes down. Oh, my shoulders are different too. Go back to the legs, lengthen the groins, descend the groins, outer knees to outer hips. Take the front bottom ribs in, then that top arm. Take the tricep towards the nose. Don't turn your head when you do that. Nose straight forward. Bottom arm, rotate the upper arm in, open the armpit. From the armpits, extend the elbows away from each other and spread the awareness. Don't move the awareness, but spread the awareness. The legs, the arms, and every cell in between. And then release the top arm, release the bottom arm, arms out to the side. Release the hands, take a breath. And hands in front of you. Uncross the legs. Move the strap, take the thumbs on the inside of your knees. Dig in there, really press in. And then move that out to the side. Have a seat. Low block, high block. Not no block right now. Allow yourself to be here in ease. And take your hands in front of you, remove the block. The easiest way to come out of this for many is you cross, I'll show you from the side, you cross your ankles behind you, and then you sit back and let your legs come forward. If that doesn't work for you, then gently take your legs to the side and gently take them forward. And just press your thighs down, extend through the legs, Dandasana. Now, just so we can know what all that did, running a little bit low on time. Come up to Tadasana, Virabhadrasana 2. Warrior pose 2. Fingertips up. Bend your legs. Jumper step your feet apart. Hold your arms up from your armpits. Left foot in, right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Take the back thigh back, press the back heel. Turn the front thigh from the inside out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Compact those hips together. So that strong outer knee to outer hip, compact the hips together. Reach with your back arm, inhale. Exhale, bend the front leg into that 90-degree angle. Keep your spine perpendicular to the floor. Gaze over your front fingertips, but just notice this experience. Often when I start a practice with this pose, there's a little bit of a struggle. But the hips are open, the shoulders are open, my torso is now nice and open. There's an ease into this. Reach through your back arm, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet. Other side, right foot in, left leg out. Again, keep that back thigh moving back, press into the heel. Turn the front thigh out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Both outer knees to the outer hip, compact those hips together. Reach to the back arm, exhale, bend the front leg into that 90-degree angle. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. You can gaze over the front fingertips, that's fine, or head straight. Drop the shoulders, hold the arms up from the armpits. And can you find the ease in this pose after you've done all that shoulder and hip work? Reach with the back arm, straighten the leg, come up, parallel the feet. Left foot in, right leg out, front heel in line with back arch. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Back thigh goes back, lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Front thigh turns out, lift the outer knee to the outer hip, compact the hips. Reach through the back arm, inhale, exhale, come down. Just experience the pose. Outer knees to outer hips. Extend the arms away from each other. Pull yourself up and out. Most of you have done this before. You know what this pose feels like. How is it different today, having done all that work first? Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Take the back thigh back, press into the back heel, turn the front thigh out, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Press into the back heel, reach to the back arm as you come down. I'm noticing for me with those hips nice and open, I can, with ease, I go down further. That's me. It may not be you. That's fine. But what is it for you? What's different? Compact the hips, outer knees to outer hips. Extend the arms away from each other. Reach through that top arm, pull yourself up and out, parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Downward facing dog. Come onto your hands and knees. Press down through the ball of your first finger and thumb. Rotate the upper arms out. Push into the floor. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. Inhale, push into the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Keep in mind that this is a restoring pose. Press your outer heels down, lift your outer hips up. Often we start class with this. How is this different? We've done all that work on the shoulders and hips. Straight arms, straight legs. Lengthen the arms, lengthen the legs, let the head go. Then coming up, bend your legs, touch your knees on the floor. Precisely the same moment. Feet together, knees apart. You can take a blanket under in between your knees. If that helps you, we're going into child's pose, right? So you can always take that blanket there. That's fine. Just rest your head. If that floor is far away, you take a block or another blanket or a pillow. Even the cushy ones will work. Extend your arms forward. Rest. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, push to come up. My back. Take a blanket under your head. We'll do a gentle twist before we move into our Shavasana. So take that blanket. You want that blanket to support that seventh cervical and just the edge of the shoulders. Okay, not fully underneath the shoulders, but just that edge of the shoulders. Bend your legs, feet on the floor. Take the flesh of the buttocks towards the heels. Extend the arms out to the sides. Bend your legs into your chest. Keep the thighs together. Now keep your abdomen turning to the left. Extend through your left fingertips and take your knees to the right. Keep the thighs together. That means the bottom thigh has to push up. Keep the abdomen turning to the left as the knees go to the right. And then pushing with the bottom thigh, push up, inhale. Place the feet down, square your hips and square your shoulders. Bend your legs back into your chest. Turn your torso towards the right. Extend through your right fingertips as the knees go to the left. Again, the bottom thigh pushing into the top thigh so that they stay together. Resist the shoulder blade coming up. Right? Resist the right shoulder blade coming up as you go to the left. And then pushing with the bottom leg, inhale, come up. Take your feet to the floor, square your hips, square your shoulders. And bend your legs into your chest. Hold around your shins, give yourself a little hug. Move your sit bones away from your waist. Soften your shoulders. On your inhalation, take your feet to the floor. Without doing a pelvic tilt, take your hands to the top of your buttocks and scoop the flesh towards your heels. Drag your heels one at a time, straighten your legs. Let your legs go. Let your arms go at 30-degree angles to your body. If you need something underneath your knees, take something, take a bolster or a pillow, rolled blanket underneath your knees, that's fine. Let go. Let go. Let your legs release, surrendering to the Mother Earth below you. Let your arms release, surrendering to the Mother Earth below you. Let your whole skull release. Jaw, cheekbones, cheeks, face, the sides of your neck and throat, all letting go, tremendously soft. Let the jaw bone release from the bones of your skull. Allow the flesh of your forehead to broaden and also descend. The flesh of the forehead moves down towards the nose. Rest your eyes into your cheekbones and become a witness to the breath as the breath breathes you. Deepen the inhalation. Lengthen the exhalation. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Gently rub your thumb across the tips of your forefingers. Bend your legs, take your knees together, feet apart. Take your hands onto your abdomen or onto your chest. Let the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers and heal whatever it is you may need healing with today. Healing can be physical, healing can be emotional. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right. Of course, if the left is easier, roll to the left. Take your left hand in front of your heart on the floor in front of you. Push with your hand and your elbow, push to come up. Come up to sitting. Bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. Draw your eyes back and down to gaze at your heart as you gently turn the corners of your lips up. Taking a moment to observe your practice. When we opened the practice, we spoke about tests versus opportunities, and engaging in our yoga practice as an opportunity, not a test to get through something, but as an opportunity. So as you reflect on the practice, what opportunities arose for you? And how can you take those opportunities with you through the rest of your day? Let's close by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Om. Genuinely. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you. Thank you, everyone. Cool to be with you all.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank
It was
you.
great.
So happy that you're all here. Karen Carpenter, how's your?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did really well. I did the balancing stuff against the wall to not put too much pressure on that hip because I do tend to throw it out.
Great, but it worked out for you overall.
Yep. Was able to do the whole class. I'm surprised. Felt good.
Wonderful. Well, happy you're back. Thank you, everyone. Anyone else have any questions?
Tell Mateo we missed him.
I will let him know. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone. The comments be down, Carolyn. We love you guys. Mwah. We'll see you later. Oh, guys also. Bye.
Bye.